This project, it's called 3 with an ellipses. And I guess I'll read the author's note and then jump into it. So pi is a transcendental number, which suggests, among other things, that no finite sequence of algebraic operations on integers, powers, roots, sums, etc., can be equal to its value. Consequently, its decimal representation never ends or repeats. It divides in endless variation. The following text is composed solely of language borrowed in direct sequential and numerical order from the Book of Genesis, Charles Darwin's Origin of Species, Chapter 8, Hybridism, and Albert Einstein's Special and General Theory of Relativity. Each poem is comprised of individual lines whose word count corresponds precisely with the relative decimal point of pi to its first 1,000 places. So when drawing from each source, the author has taken great care never to exceed 3 consecutive lines from any given text, and even then only in cases where the process of natural selection demands. While the original language of each line is faithfully preserved, each selection has been repunctuated for narrative purposes. (14159265535). In view, generally entertained by you, who read this book, made the earth, was without form and void and darkness, in order to prevent the confusion of all the magnificent structure upon the face which you were chased about. 26433832795028841971693993751058209749444. To them, the assertion that these propositions are acquired by the continued preservation of successive profitable degrees of consideration. Geometry sets out from certain conceptions such from the waters which were line, with which we are able to associate more or less. Definite ideas, and from certain simple propositions, axioms, which in classes of facts to a large extent fundamentally different, have heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. We feel ourselves compelled to admit all remaining propositions are shown to follow from those axioms, i.e., reproduction in a perfect condition. Yet, when intercrossed, they produce either few or no offspring. The earth bring from the axioms the question of the truth, of tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon both plants and animals, though the organs themselves are perfect in structure and, far as the microscope reveals, the methods of geometry. But that it is yielding fruit entirely without meaning? We cannot ask whether it is true that only one straight line goes through 2 points. We developed. This distinction is important when the cause of there be lights in common to the two. 592-307-8164. Ascribed the property of being, the distinction has probably been slurred over, owing to concept true in both cases, days and years. And let them be beyond the province of our reasoning powers, the fertility habit of designating always the correspondence, forms known or believed. 06286208998628034825. To have descended from common parents, the relation of the ideas involved in it to objects is, on my theory, of equal the stars. Of these ideas among themselves, it is not of the heaven to give light upon the earth. Feel constrained to call the propositions of geometry true. And of their hybrid offspring it is impossible. Objects in nature, and these last works of and, the evening and the morning, were the ideas. Geometry ought, God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly that moving creature, the high generality, and fowl that may fly. 3421170679821480865132823066647. Above the earth of seeing in a distance too, the knot on a practically rigid body is something found. Two forms considered by most forth abundantly, after their kind, and every, to regard 3 points as being situated on a straight line. If their apparent positions can be fruitful, coincide, multiply, and fill the eye under suitable choice of our place of observation. If, in pursuance of our habit of order, to show that there is any degree of sterility, he bring forth the living thing, number of his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the hybrid offspring with kind. And it was so, and which we may subject the body of nature, but a serious cause of error seems to me.
Yeah, the constraint of this book is that it's all of it looks like this. It's 16 lines of right justified prose in 4 stanzas for each poem. I call it a kind of prose sonnet. And so I'm working within that limitation as a kind of form/constraint. We could discuss ad infinitum the difference between a form and a constraint later. And the first section is all about a character who describes a relationship, a failed relationship or ended relationship with somebody named Lucy. So I'll read a few poems from that section. What Lucy Used to Be. What Lucy used to be, I now am, or rather, I accommodate her foibles. They live on in me now that she is gone. For instance, the thin switch of the horse's tail, the barn before sunrise cold as oats. Trepidation in a nearby thrush. We believe that the dust layering the indoor ring comes from somewhere close by. After the Damage show, during which Lucy won a pink ribbon, we headed to the Amsterdam pub. Lucy still had on her dressage silencer. I was then just one of her admirers. My only claim to fame was having come up with a slogan for the owls in our local forest, stronger than ever. But from that I was indeed very famous. I suppose she liked my girlish charm, my keychain of boys. She held the reins absently while the horses grazed in a nearby paddock. Later, on the ranch house roof, we exchanged lockets. When we had sex, it was not exactly life, but more like the Cambridge companion to life, with essays of incisive brevity. I have learned several important lessons from my love affair with Lucy. 1, I know no Lucy who does not know me. 2, I'm a gentle consumer. 3, I would like this bed to be free of stones if possible. 4, it is better to be a cabinet maker. 5, when the town doesn't want me anymore, it will say so. Lucy in another red shirt. Lucy loved my hip ring, how it bulged in the light. With her, I could explore my Bella hair and other bifurcations of my personality. With her, I learned to swim underwater, diving for objets d'art, which I'd rough up at the surface. I was a cubicle, always thinking outside myself, remaking my contours with an hourglass. I don't know how she made me do all the things I hadn't dared try, like run with scissors or act the part of the change purse in medieval morality plays. With her, I was always on top of the classics, but that was all behind the safety curtain. Later, we exchanged bitter words, though even that was sexy. I twirled my bangs. I think that's what started the idea of her exes writing a guidebook to her psyche. This fountain, a must-see, that one, not so much. Once I was late and blamed the bus. Just go through the rituals, she said, and say you'll never fucking do it again. Over and over, no one included my napkin in the important safety information or sang the bluegrass song about how he had to poison her catgut wine. We sat at the movies and watched the constellations emerge: Heliocanthus, the eye; Pargenroy, the mosque; Imbley, the marble slayer, who would have made a great character in a light comic opera, The Jump of Almond Lakes. This is called Lucy at the Poolsville facility, and it's set at the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development's Animal Research Center in Poolsville, Maryland. The Poolsville facility was a laboratory made not of pools, but of monkeys, a villain of monkeys and their debris. Lucy was very young, 19, young as a pigtail. She loved monkeys, toyed with them, made them exchange organs and dolls. We conducted experiments of varying degrees of humaneness. We fed the monkeys alcohol until they became addicted, then gave some of them drugs. I wanted to sleep with the slender graduate student with the snake tattoo on her ankle, but she hated me and used to speak nastily behind my back. Instead, I engaged in tool use experiments, watching a monkey named Cruella slide a stick in and out of a piece of PVC pipe filled with syrup, licking and licking it. Aunt Jemima, no sense wasting the good stuff. Sometimes Lee, a blonde waspy child of the alpha monkey, stole the stick and banged it on a pipe. Meanwhile, Lucy flirted with some of the higher primates. In dreams that summer, my car caught fire, until it really did, flames licking the hood at route number 128 and Poolsville Road. A truck driver beat it out with his leather jacket, told me to drive to a gas station. Later, I told Lucy how I ran from the car. She administered a burst of laughter, as if humor were a dodgeball. On long drives home, I played Sense and Sensibility on tape.